2024 is a gift that keeps on giving, a paradox in the timeline that was never supposed to happen, but here we are. This year was full of so many surprises. I did not want this year to end. Easily the best year of the decade so far. A lot of beef, great music, polarizing exposés, retirements, video games, everything. All that and more will be discussed in this video, so with the intro out the way, I'm not here to waste your time. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this King Theodore production. January. The year began with a huge shock in the YouTube space with the announcement of Tom Scott throwing in the towel with content creation, at least for now. Tom expressed in this video how burnout has gotten the better of him throughout his career, and I can't blame him. He's been making content weekly and exploring so many topics for people to learn, he's solidified himself as a YouTube genius. Testing the limits and wonders behind science and making them into YouTube videos reminds me every now and then on just how creative YouTubers could truly become. And he's become a huge legend. Following that, Shannon Sharpe and Katt Williams break the internet with their now controversial episode on Shannon's podcast. It was looking to be a regular podcast with Katt talking about his life and how his comedy came to life. But then, the episode took a weird twist. Katt Williams began to expose the industry one by one, the insane offers that he turned down, and the creeps that run Hollywood. But 5 words from this podcast would be the epicenter of this year.
All lies will be exposed, that's all.
A lot of people looked at Katt Williams with a side eye, calling him crazy or drunk, and thought that he was losing it. But the way things transpired this year, he was 2 steps ahead. But more on that topic later. Next up, a man that was facing a sentencing shocked the world when he ran up and tackled a judge. Personally, I don't know what the big deal was. I just thought he was trying to give her a huge hug. I don't see the problem. But in all seriousness, this was a meme that kicked off 2024, and it's still crazy to look back and see how this guy actually followed through with something that insane. In fact, on December 13th, 11 months later, he was sentenced to 25 to 65 years in prison for the assault against a judge. If he wasn't going to jail for a long time then, he certainly is now. In other news, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 came to a thrilling conclusion with Yuji and the gang fighting in Shibuya, an entertaining arc from start to finish, and the Shibuya incident is a complete roller coaster ride as a whole. Big highlights from the show include Gojo getting sealed, Toji's revival, Yuji defeating Mahito, and so much more. If you're looking for entertaining anime to watch and you haven't seen JJK, what are you doing? Go watch it. Well, I did spoil a little bit, so that's on me. Sorry. Moving on though, aliens appeared in Florida this year, further proving the speculation that we may have life outside of Earth and we may not be alone. But who knows? Owner of Twitter, not calling it X, and Tesla, Elon Musk, released several new inventions this year, and in January planted his first Neuralink chip in someone's head, giving someone the ability to control smartphones and computers with just their mind. While cool in theory, it's a hard no for me. Personally, I prefer my technology outside of my body. February was off to a weird start. First, the long-awaited Jujutsu Kaisen game was released, and it failed. Miserably. Which is really unfortunate to say the least. JJK had a lot of momentum coming from both the anime and manga, just for the video game to let down a lot of people. Hopefully in the future we get something significantly better, because Jujutsu Kaisen has too much potential for a video game just to be let down like this. Speaking of letdowns, Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign released their collaborative project Vultures, and that was also a letdown. Easily some of Kanye's worst works to date, considering his earlier successful music in his discography. Even though he hasn't been making great music as of late, nothing can take away from the music that once made him the greatest artist in his generation. Moving past that though, the Super Bowl took place this weekend between the 49ers and the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, for the 3rd time in 4 years, led the Chiefs to another Super Bowl victory. At this point, if you squint hard enough, he kind of looks like a certain someone. Also, the halftime show was pretty decent. Usher held a really good show, especially on skates, so at the end of the day, I left with something. A few weeks went by and the official announcement for the documentary Quiet on Set was released, and it was very dark. It's ironic because the TV shows on Nickelodeon seem to reflect a positive workspace for young and promising actors that want to pursue the arts seriously, but that was far from the case. This documentary would go on to expose the tragedies that were behind the scenes, exposing the dark environment on how these young stars were mentally impacted, ultimately shining a light on who Dan Schneider was and how he conducted business. I strongly recommend watching this documentary because it exposes a lot of Hollywood operations and why so many of these young actors end up going absolutely insane. March. Now, March was off to a difficult start straight off the jump when the news broke about the iconic manga writer of the beloved series Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, had passed away. This shocked the world in so many ways. There weren't too many signs of illness or sickness, and the fact that he was gone just like that was heartbreaking if I'll be honest. Dragon Ball has always been my favorite anime. Toriyama wrote such an action-packed and inspirational story that I loved to read, so his death struck a chord. His last official work was a project he announced called Dragon Ball Daima, and so far it's been an incredible watch. While it may not be a continuation of Dragon Ball Super, it's a different passage of story that has great lore and captures what makes Dragon Ball great. I recommend this anime deeply if you haven't watched it already. It's fantastic. I also made a tribute/legacy video essay on Akira Toriyama from months ago, and if you're a diehard Dragon Ball fan, I'll link the video on the top right of the screen just for you to watch after this video. It's some of my best work and I highly recommend it. MatPat, the owner of Game Theory, has officially thrown in the towel for content creation and announced his official retirement. MatPat has been an incredible icon for the platform, giving us memes, laughs, and entertainment for over a decade. Definitely one of the best YouTubers to ever do it. But that's just a theory. A game theory! Let me know your favorite theory from MatPat in the comment sections below. Mine is easily the How I Killed Eradicate theory. That one was scary. In positive news, the music this year was incredible, and one album that I enjoyed was Schoolboy Q's album Blue Lips. The West Coast were on a mission this year, and boy did they deliver. This album was good to listen to from start to finish. Songs like Thank God For Me, Lovebirds, and Blue Slides were personally my favorite on the album. Overall, a pretty solid album to vibe with, from nice jazzy beats to hard West Coast sounds. This album was an 8.5 out of 10 for me, so I highly recommend it. Sean Diddy Combs, after decades of allegations and speculations, was finally raided by the feds this month. People didn't believe that he could be touched and was unstoppable, but that would soon be proven wrong. It doesn't matter how powerful or influential an individual is, injustice will never go unaddressed. Currently, Diddy has not been charged with any crimes just yet, so we'll see what happens in the future. But before March wrapped up, Metro Boomin and Future released their collaborative project, We Don't Trust You, easily one of the best albums this year to release, with great songs including Everyday Hustling, Red Leather, and Young Metro. But without a doubt, the best song on the album that set the entire rap game on fire was Like That. A classic Future verse followed up by a scathing verse from none other than the best rapper of his generation, Kendrick Lamar. In this verse, he takes aim at J. Cole and Drake, who are amongst the big three, and sets the record straight that those two are not on the same level as him and that he's the best. This verse would tear apart the hip-hop world in ways we would have never predicted. But hold on to that, because this puts us into April. Following the success of the Sonic 2 movie, Paramount Plus released the spin-off series Knuckles. It wasn't the best thing I watched this year, but if you're bored and want some background noise, this is for you. Speaking of which, the movie trailer for Mufasa, The Lion King released this month, and I'll be honest, I didn't watch it. It seemed like a cash grab if anything, but hey, that's just me. Following the events of Kendrick Lamar's attacks on the biggest rappers in the game last month, we got some responses. First, J. Cole released his heavily anticipated project, Might Delete Later, with bumping tracks including Pie, Crocodile Tears, and Hunting Rabbits. But fans all turned their heads to the response towards the Like That record on the last song on the album, 7 Minute Drill. J. Cole had a few words to say, only to take down the response a week later and actually apologize to Kendrick Lamar. I know J. Cole fans were irritated at this dude, but I guess you could say that Cole deleted the song later. Get it? Because it's called Might Delete Later. After J. Cole threw in the towel, Drake responded to Kendrick Lamar with his diss track, Push-Ups. Drake released a solid response showing the world he wasn't messing around. After that, he released Tailor Made Freestyle a few days later to follow up the previous track using AI voices of Kendrick Lamar's inspirations, Tupac and Snoop Dogg, to further taunt the Compton rapper. However, this would soon be proven to be futile, with Kendrick Lamar responding at the end of the month with his hard-hitting diss track Euphoria, and my god, what a banger. Fun fact, this was my #1 listen to song this year. 6 minutes and 24 seconds of pure bliss and belt to ass because Kendrick lyrically whooped Drake badly. Now, there was other things that took place in April, but I'll be honest, I didn't pay too much attention in April because, like the rest of the world, I was heavily invested in this beef, so my bad. May. Following the event of the rap beef from April, Kendrick released another track after Euphoria titled 616 in LA. A great track to vibe with, but also a huge warning to Drake to not take the beef any further, slowly burying the Canadian pop star. However, Drake refused to back down and decided to respond with Family Matters that night. This song accused Kendrick of several harsh allegations of issues between him and his fiancée Whitney, and his kids not being his own. This track had Drake rapping at his best in quite a long time, especially considering the fact that his recent releases have either been mediocre or downright garbage. The community was fairly shocked with the song and was curious on Kendrick's next move. However, not even a genie would have predicted what Kendrick was going to do next. Within less than an hour, Kendrick had the entire internet stop with his immediate response called Meet the Grams, a scathing diss track that tore into the character of Drake and how much of a degenerate he was. This was Kendrick's darkest work in his career so far and earned him the title of hip-hop's boogeyman. If you play this song for fun or for leisure, I need you to know that you are psychopathic and you need help. Like now. Anyway, 24 hours later, Kendrick would make the song of the summer, Not Like Us, to complete Drake's funeral. I don't really need to explain much as literally everyone and their mom knows what happened. People were letting that A minor line ring all across the world. This song made clear who the people's champ was, and Kendrick was officially crowned the king of hip hop, and it's not close. Drake did respond with the Heart Part 6, but the damage was done, and frankly, the song was really bad. Especially the I'm way too famous to be a pedo line. Really bad. But if you want a more in-depth analysis on this beef, I made a video titled Kendrick Lamar, The Art of Generational Hating. I'll leave a link to the video in the description and on the top right over here. I highly recommend you watch the video, especially since this video was surprisingly controversial, so much to the point I got canceled on all platforms. That's not a joke. I really got canceled for it, but I'll explain that later in the video. I think the funniest part of this whole rap fiasco this month had to be when Metro Boomin made the BBL Drizzy beat and put a bounty on Drake's head to make rap fans participate, and my god, did the fans deliver. People were rapping, making remixes, all at the expense of Drizzy Drake. Drake became a laughingstock of the nation, scratch that, the world, and Drake's legacy was officially stained. What a saga. Outside of hip-hop though, a lot of events took place as well. Real Madrid defeated Borussia Dortmund 2-0 in the Champions League final, giving them their 15th trophy in that competition. An impressive feat considering the fact that Real Madrid faced a lot of injuries that season and was able to take down big teams including Manchester City and Bayern Munich, who were favored to win the trophy. Speaking of Manchester City, Man City would lift the Premier League for the 4th time in a row, making the Premier League look like a complete joke. Like seriously, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, do something. The biggest streamer in the world, IShowSpeed, began his global stream campaign touring many cities and countries, exploring cultures and customs from all around the world. It's incredible seeing Speed's growth going from a small streamer in his room to touring the planet and meeting icons like freaking Ronaldo or racing Olympic runners like Noah Lyles. Love him or hate him, Speed is a fantastic creator that puts content creators in a positive light, and for that, I tip my hat. He also jumped over 2 Lambos this summer, which was also pretty cool. Born to be an athlete, forced to be a streamer. Vince Staples released his 6th studio album called Dark Times, his final album with his label Def Jam Records, a completely groovy and vibe album with positive and heart-filled messaging. My favorite song on the album is easily Little Homies. Life's hard, but I go harder. Life's hard, but I go harder. This album is an 8 in my books, highly recommended for the hard workers out there that's hustling for their dreams. J. Cole and Cash Cobain released their song Grippy, and as a J. Cole fan, I never thought he could release a terrible verse like this, but here we are. June. Following the terrible song Grippy, Drake released Wagwa Delilah, and honestly, it began to feel like a competition on who can make the worst music post beef, because my lord, what an awful song. Drake was obviously trolling, King Theodore. You're such an idiot. Hey man, all I know is that my GOAT isn't dropping trash like yours. Charlie XCX released her studio album Brat, and the community saw this as pop record of the year and even had critics like Anthony Fantano giving this album a 10. Personally, not a big fan of this era of pop music, but her song Club Classics was fire. Give it a listen. Outside of music, the internet meme Hawk Tua emerged this month. Theo, get it together. Whew. This girl became a huge success overnight, getting brand deals, sponsorships, and endorsements from huge companies and YouTubers like Jake Paul and Mr. Beast, just because she gave a tutorial on how to suck. Even started a podcast that peaked number 3 on the charts, but hey, congratulations? The Boston Celtics beat the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals in Game 5, and Jason Tatum, with the help of Jaylen Brown, finally won their first ring. I also lost $100 from the series, so you know who I was going for. I hope you're happy, Isaiah. The first female president was officially elected in Mexico this month, making a significant milestone in Mexican history. Hopefully she does amazing things in office and advances Mexico in a positive manner. Viva la Mexico! The 2018 World Cup winner and PSG superstar Kylian Mbappe finally signs to Real Madrid after years of teasing back and forth. But so far, it's not looking so good for the Frenchman. But only time will tell whether or not he succeeds at the club. To wrap up the month, Lupe Fiasco released his 9th studio album called Samurai, a thematic record from the lens of Amy Winehouse if she was a battle rapper, which is interesting. Sonically though, this was a great album with some of my favorite tracks including Samurai, Cake, and Till Infinity. An easy 8 out of 10 for me. July. The year of exposing continues as a random dude by the name Dogpack404 exposes the biggest YouTuber on the platform, Mr. Beast. Dogpack reveals that he worked under Mr. Beast and exposes a lot of what happens in his camp and brings a lot of secrets to light. I won't go into details on what happened or what was exposed in that video since you probably know what happened, but it's insane that even the biggest YouTuber in the world could have their own controversies. Goes to show that no one is safe. Detroit hip-hop legend Marshall Mathers, better known as Eminem, released his 11th studio album, The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace, and this was some of his best work in about a decade. His hit song Houdini had everyone bouncing, and as an Eminem fan, it generally warms my heart that Eminem can still make music for the masses to enjoy. My favorite songs on here include Renaissance, Evil, and Fuel, an easy 7 out of 10 for me. Deadpool released its 3rd movie in the franchise. This movie focused on Deadpool working alongside Wolverine, and while most people enjoyed the movie, I wouldn't say this was my cup of tea, but to each their own. It most certainly is a positive direction for the MCU, and hopefully the franchise can become what it once used to be. Later this month, Donald Trump survived an assassination attempt during one of his rallies. Listen, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, but Donald Trump holding a fist to the air after having a bullet whiff past him is actually kind of tough, man. He had mad aura, I'm not gonna lie, and you can't deny it. Speaking of politics, Joe Biden officially throws in the towel and steps down from the 2024 election race. Not really shocking, but praying for Biden's health to improve. Lionel Messi in Argentina would lift the 2024 Copa America trophy, further cementing Lionel Messi as the greatest player to ever play football. Messi is 37 and still dropping masterclasses and winning trophies. The GOAT still got it. Across the waters in Europe, Spain would win the 2024 Euros this year with 16-year-old Lamine Yamal leading Spain to victory. It's insane to see a literal teenager become one of the best players in the world. He's on his way to becoming a legend and hopefully he carries Barca the same way a certain someone did back in his day. Wrapping up this month, the Olympics for 2024 was held in Paris, and as usual, America dominated the games as always. LeBron James and Steph Curry led their team to gold, Noah Lyles won a few medals, and a lot more. New events were added to the games like breakdancing, and this meme was born from it. The most entertaining part of the games were from the shooting event. It created a lot of headlines, and I'm not gonna lie, these guys were cold. Turkish shooter Yusuf Dikic pulled up with 0 gear and ended up winning the silver medal for his country. He was looking like a retired John Wick, and I bet he was told by the Secret Service to hold back so he didn't look too obvious as an agent the way he was shooting. Kim Yeji also made headlines due to her pinpoint accuracy and her fit that she wore to the games. I swear it was like watching anime come to real life. August. Coming off the Olympics, we got the Paralympics. This may be an unpopular opinion, but the Paralympics are way better than the regular Olympics. I mean, think about it. These people have significant disabilities that make their day-to-day a lot harder than it needs to be, yet they're doing superhuman feats. For example, Matt Stutzman for the United States of America was able to hit a literal bullseye with just his feet. That's insane. Put respect on the Paralympics name, man. In the anime world, the My Hero Academia manga has officially come to a conclusion after a decade of airing. Much respect to Horikoshi for a successful project in Shonen Jump. Cristiano Ronaldo launched his YouTube channel this month and became the fastest person to hit 50 million subscribers in less than a week. A week. Meanwhile, I'm over here struggling under 50,000 subscribers. Please subscribe, man. Please. But in all seriousness, when you're big, you're big. So congratulations to one of the greatest footballers to ever play the game. Kanye West and Ty Dolla $ign would release Vultures 2, and just when I thought Kanye couldn't make any worse music than Vultures 1, boy, was I wrong. It was incomplete, rushed, and such a disorganized project that I can't believe someone like Kanye West would even release something like this. The community was upset about the album, and rightfully so, because Kanye has significantly dropped the bar lower and lower for quality of music. Hopefully he gets his act together and does well on a solo effort project that is rumored to be released next year. Moving on to dumb, irrelevant news, Chase Bank had the infinite money glitch where there was an error in the banking system and you can withdraw as much money as you'd like. The problem, as soon as the error was fixed, all that money left thousands and thousands of people left in debt. Who would have guessed? Not me. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Lastly, in the month of August, Brazil's government officially banned Twitter from its country since it was seen as a threat to Brazil's democracy. But eventually, Elon Musk paid $5 million to the government to allow Brazilians to hop back on Twitter. I'm still not calling it X. September. We got the release of the Minecraft movie trailer and people were not happy, and I get the criticism. If they're gonna make a film based off of a video game, I'd prefer it to be animated rather than a real life action film. In unfortunate news, we lost the hip-hop star Rich Homie Quan this month, a rapper that pioneered the sounds of the 2010s, making bangers with huge artists like YG, DJ Mustard, Travis Scott, and of course, Young Thug. A legend that will not be forgotten. Type of Way and Lifestyle will always be classics to me. Kendrick Lamar officially announces that he'll be performing at the Super Bowl in 2025 in New Orleans, further cementing the victory lap against Drake, making those first-person shooter lyrics age like milk. Big as a what? Big as a what? Then, on September 11th, Kendrick would release an untitled song that fans in the community would label Watch the Party Die. Hearing those 3 words Kendrick just dropped is easily the scariest phrase in the music industry, the way he cooked Drake earlier in the year. Another popular manga from the new gen of manga, Jujutsu Kaisen, would release its final chapter after 7 long years from the Chapter 0 release. This would spark a lot of controversy as many fans were unhappy with the ending, but personally, I didn't hate it. If you haven't read Jujutsu Kaisen and love manga/anime, please watch it. It's a fantastic story that's easy to get into and is a fun experience overall. If you have seen the anime and manga though and would like an in-depth review on the overall story, I did make a video about it a few months ago and I'll link it to the top right over here for you to watch after this video is done. Atlanta trap legend Future released his mixtape Pluto, and I wasn't really feeling the project. I don't think the quality was as good as his collaborative project with Metro Boomin earlier this year. But on to good music, Daylight collaborated with J. Cole to create the song A Plate of Collard Greens, and J. Cole massively redeems himself from that terrible grippy song with an incredible verse. I would definitely recommend this song for you if you love lyrical hip-hop. But back into the political world, Donald Trump would yet survive another assassination attempt at one of his golf courses. Man, they cannot beat this guy. He's invincible at this point because how the hell do you survive 2 assassination attempts within the same year? That's gnarly. Mr. Beast, KSI, and Logan Paul would release their collaborative project, Lunchly, and it does not go well. A lot of negative reviews quickly spiraled around the product, and the community as a whole was not happy. Speaking of controversies, Dr. Disrespect would make an infamous return to YouTube after huge controversies and hiatus from content creation. A lot of mixed reviews and discourse over his return, so let me know how you feel about that in the comment section. October. The long-awaited Dragon Ball game Sparking Zero finally released, and personally, this was video game of the year. Over 3 million copies were sold in the span of 24 hours, and not one game this year had nearly as much hype. With beautiful graphics, amazing battle mechanics, and solid in-game features, this game is incredible. Easily a 10 out of 10, although can we please nerf MUI Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta? Please. I'm begging you. KSI released his song Thick of It and was a laughingstock on the internet for a little while, but I'll be honest, I kinda like the song. I don't know, man, I thought it was a chill song. A little cringy, yes. However, I didn't think it was that bad the way the internet put it out to be. Speaking of disappointing media, the Joker 2 film released, and while highly anticipated, absolutely bombed on Rotten Tomatoes and Popcorn Meter. Honestly, the movie itself wasn't bad in my opinion, but the trailer sort of misled what the audience was expecting, and so the movie failed as a result, especially since the first movie was drastically different than what we got now. Video game company Game Freak, one of the overseers of Pokemon, was hacked this month, and the storyboard concepts for certain Pokemon were leaked, specifically Typhlosion, and if the leaks were true about this Pokemon, yikes. All I'm gonna say is, that's why Squirtle is the best starter Pokemon. That's all I have to say about the matter. You can find plenty of information on that because I will not be diving any further on that. On the topic of video games, the new Sonic game, Sonic X Shadow Generations, was released, and this game was gas as well. Shadow and classic Sonic carried this game a lot in my opinion, and this Sonic game was a fun playthrough. Dragon Ball Daima also released this month, an Akira Toriyama focused project that revolves around Goku and the gang being wished into children and fighting beasts of the demon world. This also was unfortunately Toriyama's last work before his sudden passing earlier this year. It's a fun, goofy, adventurous story with crisp animation, so I think you'll enjoy it if you're a Dragon Ball fan. Don't be too critical or overanalyze too much. It's meant to be for fun, so just enjoy the show. Speaking of anime, Dawn to Dawn has officially aired its first episode this month, and it's quickly making its round across the community, quickly rising to be the most popular anime in the world with its goofy premise of a boy trying to get his balls back from ghosts and aliens. The fifth and last Duck song was officially released this year after its first one 15 years prior, cementing itself as a YouTube classic that'll stay in our hearts forever. Tyler, the creator, dropped his latest album Chromacopia, and this album was bumping. I loved all the songs across the track from top to bottom. But if I had to choose my top tracks, it'd have to include Hey Jane, Judge Judy, Like Him, and Sticky. Tyler, the creator, got everything right on this album, from beat selections to features to themes, all of it. This album is a classic. It's really good and entertaining and has some serious songs on it. Moving on to the sports world, the Los Angeles Dodgers beat the New York Yankees in the World Series in a game of 5. Unfortunately, I'm a Yankee fan, so you can only imagine how I felt, especially after that cursed 5th inning. But whatever, shout out to the Dodgers for being the 2024 World Series champions. NBA legend and Hall of Famer Dwayne Wade got a statue in honor of him and his career in the NBA, and in return we got this legendary meme. November. Starting off with Lil Uzi Vert dropping his album, which was a letdown for me personally in comparison to his earlier works, but if you're a diehard Uzi fan, then maybe this album's for you. Legendary NBA player Vince Carter officially had his number retired for the Toronto Raptors and gave us his meme as a result. Shout out Vince Carter, one of the best dunkers the NBA has ever seen. Donald J. Trump wins the November election and is officially the 47th president of the United States. Republicans swept across the board, winning the Electoral College, the popular vote, the Senate, and the House of Representatives, which a 4-0 sweep is actually crazy. The much anticipated boxing match between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson happened, and to no one's surprise, Jake Paul ends up beating 58-year-old Mike Tyson. Who would have thought? Not me. Beating on a senior citizen is insane, and the fact that this fight even got approved just goes to show how much we as a society suck. Moving on to the world of cinematics, Red 1 was released, and although it didn't do too well in the box office, personally I thought the movie was okay. With a budget of about $250 million, you'd expect a lot more quality, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. The movie ended up pulling an underwhelming $34 million at the box office, and the movie bombed. However, there were some great movies that were released this month. Wicked was a spectacular musical that got an 88 on Rotten Tomatoes and 95 on Popcorn Meter, and while I don't like to quantify success with statistics, it does seem like both critics and audience members enjoyed the movie, so if you like musicals, go check it out. Gladiator 2 released and was a fantastic movie as well. Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal had incredible acting performances and made the movie entertaining. Kaisen held his Mafia 2 event and became the first streamer to reach 500,000 subscribers on Twitch, and even reached up to 700,000 plus subscribers. Tons and tons of celebrities took part in the marathon and even got the likes of Kim Kardashian to promote the event. It's crazy to see how celebrities are begging to work with content creators. Also, 20% of the proceeds made from the marathon was being used to fund projects in Nigeria like schools. This was a massive achievement, and huge congratulations to Kaisen. He's making black creators look good, and I support him all the way for it. Drake launched a lawsuit against UMG, accusing them of defamation from Kendrick Lamar's diss track, Not Like Us, and inflating Kendrick's streams in order to favor Kendrick in the public eye. I'll be honest, this doesn't make much sense to me because Kendrick disses are played everywhere and everyone loves his songs, except obviously Drake and maybe his stans. Also, this may be anecdotal, but I never heard any of Drake's disses played anywhere, so there's that too. To me, Drake looks like a sore loser, but apparently Drake is using the petition to get compensation out of millions owed to him from the record company. I don't know, situation's looking weird, so we'll have to wait for the results of the trial, which begins December 20th, and that's it for November. Wait, I think I'm forgetting one thing. Hold on. Kendrick Lamar released his surprise album GNX, and this was album of the year. The Compton rapper once again displayed his peak lyricism and flow abilities while taking a pivot to integrate the West Coast sound. Kendrick also worked with West Coast artists to make a strictly LA project, and it was nearly executed perfectly. Obviously, I loved all the songs on the album, but if I had to choose 3 songs, it'd have to be Reincarnated, TV Off, and Heart Part 6. Cleansing our ears from that terrible Drake diss from earlier in the year. 9.5 out of 10 for this album, and honestly, album of the year. December. We finally reached the end of a wonderful year, and I'm gonna be honest, I have a lot to edit, so I'm only going to do events up to the 15th of December, so if anything happens past that date and I don't mention it, sorry. It's a one-man band over here. Kicking off December, Spotify released its Spotify Wrapped for its users, and surprise surprise, everyone has Drake in their top 5. All those minutes listening to Drake while hating on him this year, y'all ain't slick. I'm just joking, but do let me know who your most listened to artist was this year in the comment section below. I'll look out for them. Mine was obviously Kendrick, like, come on now. The CEO of the United Healthcare Company was taken out in New York allegedly by Luigi Menegoni. This caused a lot of discourse and conversation over social media. People even made stan edits of him, which was really weird if I'm gonna be honest. On a positive note, Marvel Rivals released on December 5th and completely swept Overwatch 2 out of the water. And personally, I love this game a lot. It's really easy to get into and fun to play with friends. Personally, my main is definitely Punisher and Iron Man, so if you're looking for character recommendations, well, there you go. Also, please nerf Iron Fist. Please nerf him. In other video game news, Astrobot would be awarded Video Game of the Year, and in my opinion, I think Sparking Zero deserved it due to its massive impact it had and the gameplay it provided, but that's just me. Astrobot is still a fun game, so I'm not tripping. What really surprised me was that Tekken 8 won Fighting Game of the Year this month over Sparking Zero, and I couldn't get behind this one. Tekken is such a respected series, but I don't think it did nearly as much as what Sparking Zero did for the community. A little bit salty, but again, it's not really a big deal. Unreleased music from Michael Jackson was apparently found in an abandoned garage, which is crazy considering the fact that we got new Michael Jackson music before GTA 6. Mr. Beast and Amazon would collaborate to make the Beast games despite controversies around the YouTuber. It looks like it's going to be a very interesting series, and I'm curious to see how it pans out. YouTubers every year find new ways to pull mainstream media attention, and it's impressive to see how far content creators have gotten. Kendrick Lamar and TDE would hold their Christmas concert and toy drive for Compton, and it was a great act for the community. Last but not least, legendary YouTuber CoryxKenshin returns back to YouTube to announce his new manga that is currently in production. It looks really promising and entertaining, and if he succeeds, could open huge doors for YouTubers and content creators. I get that YouTubers look kinda cringe and ridiculous when they branch outside of their comfort zone, but this could be different. Cory has always been a YouTuber that has moved with honesty and integrity for over 15 years, so I trust that he'll succeed. And that's it for 2024. I wanted to end this video with the Cory news because this kind of ends the year on a positive note since it shows that anything is possible through hard work and dedication. You can truly achieve those dreams and aspirations of yours, King. Cory went from making videos in a room to starring in films and writing a manga. That's incredible, but you as well can reach great heights for whatever those dreams of yours are. I hope you had a wonderful year, King, and I hope 2025 is even better. That's all I got for today, so if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, King, hurry up and join the Kings on this side of YouTube. Much love, and happy holidays. Here's to 2025.